We weren't up there chasing mysteries. We were hunting Eli Ketcher, the man who'd put his girlfriend in the ICU with a crowbar before bolting into the woods. By the time I joined the line, it looked less like a search and more like a tired, shuffling army. Marked units from 3 counties jammed the shoulder of the old logging road, search and rescue volunteers sipping burnt coffee, a Forest Service rig with mud halfway up the doors, the canine trailer. Somebody had tried to string yellow tape to define the staging point, but the fog had rolled in so thick it dissolved the tape into floating scraps of color. Hollow Spur isn't exactly wilderness, but it tries its best. Steep slopes, abandoned spur roads, old trapline trails that look like paths until you realize they're nothing but softened ground and habit. Fog laps at the foothills like it's trying to decide what to keep. Sheriff Shaw from North Bend ran the briefing off a tailgate, toothpick tucked into the corner of his mouth, voice smooth even in the cold. Ketcher was spotted crossing Spur Road last night, he said, tapping a laminated topo map. We've got dogs that traced him a bit, then refused east. He's armed, maybe injured, definitely moving. Fog clung to his jacket like mold. Shaw went down the checklist, grids, calm intervals, fallback points. Everyone listened. 24 people, all trained, all focused, organized. As the team split, Shaw muttered to one of his deputies about old evidence from last month. Yeah, hikers turned in a busted CB, he said. Battery was still good somehow. Last thing on it was some guy saying, keep coming, or whatever. Tech tossed it. Nobody reacted, just rural county noise. I didn't think about it again. Not then. My team was Harmon, talkative, newer, jumpy, but competent. And Vasquez, ex-army, the quietest man I've ever seen move through timber. We started up the slope in a staggered line, radios checked out, GPS working. The ground was spongy with needles, the air so wet you felt like fog was trying to get under your clothes. Catcher, we called. Sheriff's office. Ordinary echoes, nothing else. But the dogs weren't ordinary. Unit 3, dogs refusing east, came through the radio, tail down. Mark it and sweep around, Shaw replied. Calm, practiced. But I heard the tension in the handler's voice. Dogs refuse directions sometimes, sure, but they don't usually refuse points on a compass. A chill crawled up the back of my neck. Not fear, not yet. Just the sense that the woods had opinions. We pushed on. We found the tarp in a shallow ravine, blue, folded tight beneath a rock that had grown a ring of moss on one edge. Vasquez donned a single sterile glove, lifted the corner. Inside, he found a bitten strip of jerky, a bent spoon, and a single bootlace tied in a complex knot. Fresh enough to smell human. He's close, Harmon whispered. Or was, I said. But the tarp bothered me in a different way. The top dry, the underside soaked. Someone had opened it recently, then closed it again. A little too neat. A little too intentional. Command logged coordinates told us to keep tempo. The plan was still in control. For the moment. Fog dropped in like a curtain. One moment I could see a team 50 yards to the left. The next, nothing but gray. The trees softened into silhouettes. Our voices felt padded, as though sound was taking the long way around. Radio started breaking apart mid-sentence. Unit 12, check your negative visual. Dog turning back. Just snippets of text and communications. Normal when the terrain fights you. But this wasn't the usual terrain interference. It felt like something was leaning on the signals. Our GPS units started wandering too. Grid markers vanished. 3 times I realized I was angling downhill without remembering deciding to. Fog does strange things to you. Feels like we're walking inside someone else's idea of a map, Harmon said. He meant it as a joke. It didn't land. I looked down once to check my footing, then up. Then we were there. A nearly perfect circle in the woods, scraped bare to mineral soil, 20 yards across. The big trees bent outward slightly at the rim, as if something had pushed them back. The fog hung inside it in layers, thin and even, like even it had agreed not to disturb anything. In the center of this strange circle was a stump, charred black, chest high, as if an enormous tree had been cut down and burned in a way that somehow left no ash around it. "Where the hell are we?" Harmon whispered. Vasquez checked his GPS. The unit says we're not anywhere. Signal comes in, drops, comes in again. I've never seen this here. There was no sound in the clearing. No birds, no insects. Even the wind outside the circle seemed to stop politely before entering. A single crow drifted near the tree line, flapped once, twice, then veered away like it had hit a wall. For the first time all day, I heard myself say, I get why the volunteers tapped out early. It was the first crack in my composure. I couldn't help it. That place felt precise, like we'd interrupted something unfinished. Harmon swallowed. Feels like he was trying to get here. Vasquez frowned at him. Catcher? His trail keeps shifting, Harmon said. Dog refuses east. All the signs wrap around. What if... Stop, Vasquez said. But he didn't sound confident. I didn't want to leave the clearing. But I also didn't want to stay another heartbeat. We're moving, I said. Now, let's go. We backed out. 10 steps later, and the clearing was gone behind fog. A dream no longer consenting to be remembered. It came as we tried to rejoin the grid. A tearing shriek from deep downslope. Long, wet, and metallic. No rise or fall, just one horrific exhale. Harmon froze. Vasquez's hand went to his weapon. I tried command on the radio, static, sharp, painful. That wasn't a cougar, Harmon whispered. No, I said, it sure wasn't. We moved faster. When we finally found the tagged grid tape again, it felt like stepping back into our own world. One by one, the radios cleared. Shaw's voice filtered in. Everyone come back to staging. Lights running out. We'll reset tomorrow. Back at the command post, deputies trickled in with variations of the same report. GPS drift, canine refusals, fog pockets that didn't match the forecast, trails that started straight and ended crooked. Nobody wanted to say the words felt wrong, but everyone acted like they were thinking it. Shaw took our statement with a neutral face, the way people do when neutrality is all they have left. Charred stump, he repeated, in a clearing? Yeah. He didn't write that down, just nodded, chewing his toothpick slowly. The search lasted 4 more days. We never found that clearing again. We never found Catcher. Sometimes we saw signs that could have been him. Cigarette end, boot scuff, broken branch. But the direction kept changing. West, then north, then inexplicably upslope where moving up made no sense at all for a man trying to run. Like someone kept yanking a leash. I didn't say that out loud, but I felt it. A week later, I was at North Bend HQ finishing a shared case paperwork folder. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, and the copy machine shuddered like it had asthma. Two deputies leaned against the paper tray, talking low. You really think he was trying to bait us? One asked. The other shook his head. No, not even close. Those shifts in his trail, that wasn't someone setting an ambush. That was someone being pulled. Pulled where? The deputy shrugged, eyes unfocused, remembering something he hadn't had language for. Toward something, he said. Like he kept changing direction because something out there was changing it for him. Well, that's creepy as hell, the other one responded. Yeah. And the worst part is, it didn't feel like it had anything to do with us. Like we were just in the way. I kept my eyes on the paperwork, my heart ticking faster. They walked off. The copier warmed itself back into silence. Driving home that night, the foothills dark behind me, I kept seeing that clearing in my mind. The stump, the way the fog there behaved like it was listening. Maybe Catcher was heading toward that place. Maybe he was heading toward something else. Maybe he was being walked like a dog on a leash that none of us could see. I don't know. I know we went looking for a man and never found him. I know the woods never once acted like they cared which of us they kept.